Hello, and welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. I am so happy you are joining me today. My name is Krystle, and I am a 1-3 sacral generator. And I am a human design guide, mentor, and educator. And that's what we're going to be doing today, a little bit of education. And we're going to be talking about a really interesting concept and component to human design. I am here to make human design easy, simple, and fun. Okay. I have the channel of surrender and that's the design of a transmitter. And I take this information, I condense it, I make it practical. And that's what we're going to do today. This is going to be an introduction to tone in human design. And if you don't know what the variables are, I want to let you know I have a lot of variable resources over on our website, humandesignastro.com, also on our YouTube channel and the podcast. The best place to go to is our educational content over on humandesignastro.com, and it kind of navigates through all the other classes that we have, guides that we have. I definitely would recommend sticking around to the end because I have a big opportunity for you. So go ahead and check out everything you can look through our YouTube channel. There's a lot of goodies in there. And so let's go ahead and get started. So human design is here to show you how to navigate these bodies that we inhabit. Okay. These are our vehicles. And then variables help us align our form, these physical bodies, and orient to the correct space and place to have the opportunity to actually thrive. Variables is the master plan that explains the order and how we receive our outside world, how to align to our correct space, how to see clearly, and how to process and conceptualize the world around us so that we can act accordingly, correctly as ourselves, not correct to anybody else, as the individuals that we were born to be. I think something big we learned in 2020 was how important the location and space of where we live and how crucial it is to living our best life. And what is really a fascinating component is that variables, they tend to help. They definitely help. They're definitely hard to find, and they definitely help us really align to our uniqueness. And it's really hard to find accurate information on tone. And tone is the architecture of our being. Tone explains the cognitive pointers and direction for color to truly be captured correctly for the individual. This explains how somebody's individual strategy can be honed to a specific cognitive potential. And we will be talking about cognition today because that is your strongest sense. That is the strongest tone that I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment and show you how to find your cognition. And so there's a specific sense that activates your body. This is your strongest alert system to notify the body to pay attention. This is your strongest sense or senses that we'll discuss today that will help the body become aware. A lot of times we ignore our strongest sense. We ignore our body cues. And so we're going to talk today how to help the body become aware through our tone and the basics of tone. And that is what human design is after all. It is simply just an awareness tool. So let's become aware together. So give me just a moment and I'm going to pull up a body graph right now. Let me share my screen. Okay. So here is a body graph chart. And so what we're going to be focusing on today, because we're not going to be talking about color. If you want to learn about color, I've got a lot of education on color. You can go to humandesignastro.com. You can go to YouTube. You can go to the podcast. There's a lot of educational episodes on there. Take a look. You'll find. So Color is going to be the exit frequency. And what provides direction to color? And color are all these circles that you can see here on my screen. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see all these circles. They are called color. And in order for color to properly be captured, we need to have the tone pick up that frequency, pick up that neutrino. And if you don't know what neutrinos are, I do have a crash course over on humandesignastro.com, a crash course on transits and planets, and you can learn about neutrinos. If you're really interested in the variables, I highly recommend learning about neutrinos because that's probably the most important aspect of understanding how the variables actually work, because what it's explaining is frequency, and what frequency we're talking about are those little tiny subatomic particles called neutrinos. And if I've lost you, don't worry, I have more information for you at the end on how to help you learn more about this information. So, this is genetic matrix. Highly recommend using genetic matrix to honestly learn about the variables because they have this little interactive tool. And this is actually what really helped me at the beginning, I'll tell you. And click on a variable. So this one's called determination. So this is the first step. Let's just briefly go over the steps here before I click on anything. So what I'm circling here, these components, this is connected to your determination. So your unconscious sun, your unconscious earth, your tone, which is your cognition, your strongest sense is going to be connected to your determination, and it is known as cognition. And then the color is the color of your determination variable. And then we have the arrow. And so what we're talking about today is what provides the direction to the arrow, and that is tone. Okay. So this is the first step to your radical transformation, to your path to purpose. I like to say your internal algorithm to success all comes from this first step. Now, the second step is environment. Okay. And so environment is connected to your unconscious north node, unconscious south node. Then we have the tone over here. We call this tonal resonance when it's over here in the environment variable. And then we have color. And then we have the direction here. This is left facing. The determination up here at top, this is right facing. Okay. So then we have the third step over here. This is called view perspective. Okay. And so we have that connected. We move over to the personality, to the mind side, and we have our conscious north node and our unconscious south node that's connected to your astrology nodes. Okay. Here. And then we have our tone, which changes to sense when we move over here. And I'll be explaining the keynotes of what that sense is. So stick around for that. And then we have color, and then we have the direction that is right facing. And then we have our last and final step called motivation. And highly recommend going to my what's it called? I should have I'll link it down below. I have a quick tutorial on the variables that you can that's on YouTube. So I'll link that episode down below for you so that this will make more sense when you go through this part, because this part is maybe a little advanced. This is for people that have been maybe a little bit deep diving into the variables and really want to understand tone, okay? Or your first line. Or maybe an open head. You're just naturally a curious person. Maybe you're Scorpio. I don't know. So, anyways, so then we have our final step here. This is called motivation. This is connected to your conscious sun, conscious earth, this tone here called sense, and then the color that needs to be captured through the direction here, which is left facing. Okay, so now we have the key ingredients. Okay, and so if you really want to learn about the variables and kind of see how they move, what they're called, like what they incorporate, I highly recommend getting Genetic Matrix, hitting the interactive button that I hit here. This is how I learned at the beginning when I was first like, what is all this stuff? And as a 1-3, I had to just investigate. And I love Genetic Matrix because they have so many different components, so many different charts you can pull up. You can also pull up your astrology chart. This is not sponsored by Genetic Matrix at all, but it totally would be if I could be. But just so you know, I'm just telling you this because it's been one of the first chart calculators that I use. I'm hoping to honestly develop my own at some point this next year, but it's hard for me to move away from genetic matrix because they have so many components. And yeah, so anywho, so we're going to click on determination. Okay, so we're going to see what everything's connected to that. And then we're going to talk about cognition. Okay, so if you can see here, this person's chart. So they have a passive brain because it is right facing. And the reason why they have a passive brain is because they are cognition, or their tone here is tone 6. So anything that is 4, 5, or 6 in the tone, this little triangle, T is for triangle for tone, this is going to make them automatically right facing if they have 4, 5, or 6 in their tone. Okay. The direction goes right. Okay. And that's because tones 4, 5, and 6 are on the solar plexus binary down here. Imagine a line. I want you to imagine right now there's a line that starts up here at the ajna and it goes straight down the middle all the way down and cuts this body graph in half. And so everything that's over here on the left side is going to be connected to the splenic binary. And that's going to be 1, 2, and 3 for those tones. Okay. And then everything over here that's connected to 4, 5, and 6 is going to be on the solar plexus binary. And then we also have, for an advanced education here, is that tones 3 and 4, outer vision and inner vision, we'll talk about that in just a moment, they're connected to the ajna binary. Okay. So, and again, I'll be telling you how you're going to get more information on this at the end, because I know we're going through a lot here. And this is also something that I suggest watching over and over again so that it's like repetition really helps a lot of this information sink in, especially the variables, because they're really dense. I remember the first time I learned this information, I honestly sat there and stared at it for a while. And then I left it alone. I did the classes and courses on the variables. I've gotten as many possible foundational raw lectures that I could on this information as well. And then I went and I looked at everything again. And then it started to make more sense. So if a lot of this is not making sense for you at the beginning, don't feel like, oh no, I'm never going to get it. It seriously is about allowing this information to almost sink into our beings. Okay. It really takes time to digest this information. And we're talking about determination. So I have to do a little play on words. Determination explains the way we digest food in life. Okay. And so this person here, because they have the 6 tone, their cognition is the 6 tone. Cognition is touch. 6 tone is connected to touch. Okay. And so they they also don't, some of the stuff I'm not going to talk about because we're going to get confusing. But as you can see, the sense binary that's connected to this tone is cyclical because it's on the solar plexus binary. Because if you remember what I just said, tones 4, 5, and 6 are connected to the solar plexus binary. Okay. And so everything on the unconscious design side, determination, environment, these tones are going to go through certain keynotes that we're going to discuss now. When we move over to this environment section here, the name is described as tonal resonance. Okay, so this person is left facing environment. Okay, their left body, because as you can see here, they have tone 1. Okay, for their tone in their environment. And so that tone is smell. And as you can see, the sense binary is concentrated and splenic because it's in tone 1, 2, and 3. So again, tones 1, 2, and 3 are connected to the splenic binary. These are people that are picking up senses information in the now. Okay. And then for people that have tones 4, 5, and 6, like this guy right up here in our determination, this is connected to the cyclical cycles of the solar plexus binary. So this is data for the 4, 5, and 6 that's really being collected over time. Okay. So let's go over what the tones are called on the unconscious body side. So for determination and also for environment. Now, when it goes into the environment, it's a little different the way it's going to pick up frequency in each. It's almost like I look at the variables as little rooms in a house. Okay. So each time it moves to a different room, it's going to change. The scenery is going to change a little bit. The way that component is going to experience that room, for example, is going to be a little different. So there's a lot of nuance to this, but we're really just doing an introduction here. Okay. So if you're tone one, okay, let's say you have just like this guy here, you have the number one in your triangle on either in your environment or in your determination up here. Okay, so if this is going for if you have it's either your cognition or your tonal resonance. Okay, so tone one is smell. And so these are people that are natural lie detectors. You smell beneath the surface. Think of the first line. It's always digging for information. This is going to be a similar energy for someone that has smell cognition or even smell in their tonal resonance of their environment. Okay. Again, the way that they're going to experience that, depending on which component it is, whether which variable it is, it's going to be a little bit different, but essentially it does hold a very similar energy. And it's very fixed also when it's over on the body side. Now, so then we have tone two. Okay. Tone two is taste. Okay. And so these are people, or you're someone that has a very specific liking or dislike to something. And again, I'm just breaking down just the basics here. There's so much more to this. Okay. There's even I like to call your super center, meaning wherever this tone is connected to is called your super center. So, for example, people that have tone one and two, their super center is going to be the spleen. Okay. And then there's also different components and different characteristics, whether that spleen for that individual is going to be open or defined. Okay. The way in which that energy is going to show up and experience is going to be quite different depending on if that so called super center is defined or open. And again, if you're like, what are you saying? Just wait till the end. Okay. So if you're tone two taste, okay, your strongest sense is taste. You are someone that has a very specific liking or dislike to something. You know what you want. You know what you like, you know what you don't like. These are people that like similar to, I would say, t- uh, tone to, I mean, color to, okay, and determination, taste people. These are people that have a very specific palate. Okay. And it's important for people that are taste cognition that they are really paying attention to their taste buds, really allowing things to marinate. Okay. And so wait till we get to what the keynotes are when we get over to the personality side. Okay. So next we move to tone three, and this is outer vision, what I was just talking about earlier. So these are people that need visual stimulation, okay, in their environment, in the way that they take in their world. It's all needs to be visually stimulating. And I do have a story that I would like to share. Um, Actually, on two of my past color code mad scientists that did my variable intensive with me in my email. So if you're not subscribed to my email, highly recommend joining it. I'm going to be doing more education through stories on the variables in my email. So go to go to humandesignastro.com, get on the email list, or you can go to the show notes down below in the description and you can get on the email list from there as well. So, if you're outer vision, tone three, you really need a lot of visual stimulation. And that's key for you when you are looking out and you need to be able to spot patterns. You need a clear view. And this is also you're spotting patterns in the now. What do you like focusing on? Okay, is a good question for someone that is tone three or their cognition is outer vision. Okay. And so then we have tone four. Okay, this is inner vision. So we've moved over to the solar plexus binary now. So this is an inner process. This is a cyclical process because it's connected to the solar plexus binary. These are visionaries of messages for these people that are revealed over time. Okay. And it's really important for people that are inner vision that they pay attention to their dreams. And I'll be diving more into that in something I have upcoming. So, tone five, if you're tone five, if you have tone five in one of these triangles over here, okay, on the unconscious body side, then your feelings, okay? Someone that can detect sensations, sounds, frequency. These are people that really are tapped in to the frequency around them and the frequency in their bodies and other people's bodies. I've noticed that people can detect pain a lot of times with people that are feeling cognition. And so the body will alert to you what sounds correct for you. And it's really important that you honor that. I've noticed for a lot of people that I have worked with that have either tones 4, 5, or 6, that they have a little bit of a harder time trusting because it's an overtime sensation that the body is picking up because it's cyclical. So then we have our last and final tone, tone 6, or if you're touch cognition, okay? These are tactile beings, like really like need to be touching the world around them, okay? This is skin to skin, okay? Things need to be held in their hands for these people. And so, really allow yourself to touch the world around you to understand what is correct for you, because that's what your tone is really helping you do, really see what's correct for you. So, you have, let's say, for example, frequency comes in to your being. Okay. And so, what's going to happen is tone is almost like your specific dial on the radio. Okay. And so if that specific dial, that tone is not attuned correctly, then what's going to happen is that frequency that's coming into this being, it's going to bypass tone. It's not going to be able to pick up that frequency in the body. So for me, for example, my cognition is smell. Okay. And so if I'm ignoring the underbelly of things, if I'm ignoring what's hidden, okay? If I am not smelling safety, okay? Because that's really what tone one is really looking for. Is this person, let's say, for example, if I come into a new person's aura, is this person safe for me? And so my smell cognition, if I'm tapped into the body, it's going to alert me to almost like um this figurative, almost like energetic smell. And so I'm going to pick that up. And sometimes it's even a physical smell. There's some people that I have smelled and I'm like, wow, I do not like the aroma that is coming off of your being. And it might have nothing to do with that they like even physically smell. There's just something that's off. Okay. Because I can smell a rat. Okay, as smell cognition. And so the more that I honor that, even if I don't even understand all the information, I'm just like, mm-mm, I'm a generator, because then it's going to alert my sacral. If that smell goes, mm-mm, then I am going to honor that. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I used to try to wonder why I felt certain things. And for you too, you might be wondering, why do I feel certain things when I'm around certain people? Pay attention and really find the nuance in the way that your tone, your cognition specifically, because that's your strongest sense. Your strongest sense is going to be your cognition, which is this top triangle to the left here. If you're looking at the image that I have here, it's this top left triangle. Okay. I'm pointing, this one has tone 6, touch cognition. Okay. So this is your number one uno. But then we do have these other tones that are traveling through the variables that I look at as almost as our little assistants. Okay. And they're really going to be helping us specifically in these little tiny, like I like to say, these variables are called rooms to me. Okay. And so let's move over now to the personality side because the keynotes do change. And as I told you, when we move over to the personality mind side, okay, the tones, their names turn to sense. Okay. And so tone one, if you're over on here, I'll even click one. Let's click this one. If you're all so this person has peripheral vision, okay, because it's right facing here. And so they're tone six. And tone six is acceptance when we move over to the personality side. And so let's break down and see over here. This one says security. So let's break down the keynotes of the personality variable tones. Okay. So tone one is security. Think about that. The first line is always looking for a secure foundation. Tone two is uncertainty. This person needs to marinate, taste a little bit more on the information before making a educated decision. Tone three is action. Okay. Tone four is meditation. Tone five is judgment. And tone six is acceptance. And so these are all of the tones when we move over to the personality side of the variables, that those are the keynotes for that. And so I want to talk to you now about where to dive a little bit deeper into this information. Okay. Because I am a variable fanatic. I have been in my human design experiment for over 7 years now, and I've been studying the variables specifically for the last like 5 years. And then I've been helping people for the last 4 years really understand their variables. And then for probably, I guess, the last year plus, I started this new intensive. I like to call it an intensive. And so this is my fourth round that I just opened early bird for. So you have an early bird opportunity. Actually, hold on one second. I just want to show you the website so you know where you're going when you decide to go over there. So let me share my screen one more time. So I just opened doors for the Color Code Variables Intensive. This kicks off October 13th. I am now running an early bird special. I only have 7 spots left if you're interested at the time that I am recording this. So I will have no idea once this goes out. So just go to the show notes down below, the description down below, or go to humandesignastro.com/color code intensive. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see up here, I'm pointing to the website name, or go to the description down below and it'll take you right there. And so this is a 5-week journey through the 4 variables, or also known as the 4 radical transformations. And the biggest component to this is the experiments. So I've realized how experiential human design is. And it really is just an experiment, that when I started learning my specific variables, I knew that I would have to experiment to refine, to define who I am. And so once I started doing that, and it actually helped me get to where I live now, because I was not in the correct environment. Okay. I lived in Florida, and South Florida, and it was such a shore, which is my opposite environment. I am dry kitchens. And so when 2020, when the world shut down, my calm determination finally had a chance to breathe, and I did some heavy deconditioning. I changed the configuration of my house to be more environment friendly to my dry kitchens. And then in 3 months, I moved to my correct environment. And this is not to say that this happens for everybody. I also had been heavy into my experiment just in general before that, and also dilly dallying, I would say, with the variables, because I had learned them before that year, actually, well before that year. Maybe I've known about the variables for 6 years. Doesn't matter. But the point is that we're starting this October 13th. They are live Zoom educational calls on the variables each week. They'll be on Sundays, okay, so that most people can attend. They will be recorded, and you will get lifetime access to everything. I also have a lab. I call the lab, that is our community page on the website. So once you purchase, you'll be invited to the lab. And we have 12 educational classes through determination and cognition, 6 classes for determination, 6 classes for cognition, what we just talked about with the tones, because they go together. And you'll be able to get a head start on that. For our last round, for the third round, I gave everybody early access that joined our early bird, and those were the people that I saw really were able to grasp this information because they already were reviewing it. And then there's a bunch of other bonuses that you can find out if you go over to the website and see what they are. I don't want to bore you with all this information, but I do want to invite you to join. I would love to have some really experimenters, people that are ready to experiment with their variables. They're looking for a deep dive on the variables. They want to better understand who they are, how to utilize their design to honestly their advantage. Okay, because that's what the variables I feel like can really. One of the past mad scientists, I call them mad scientists in color code, they said that it really gives you an advantage because it kind of like accelerates your deconditioning process. When you learn about your variables, because deconditioning through your determination really de-gunks the brain. And so there's a lot more clarity that can come if by learning your variables and learning your unique formula to success. So if you're interested in joining the fourth round of color code, as I said, right now, as of right now, we only have 7 spots left. There's only there's 2 bonuses for this round that I'm only doing for the first 5 people. Definitely go check out what the bonuses are for this round. I am ready because this is our fourth round. I am ready to take this intensive to the next level. The last intensive, they really mutated me. They really mutated this intensive. And so there's so much more information that I have to share for this round. So if you really want to invest back into yourself, you really want to understand how to trust yourself, you want to use this in your relationships, you want to understand how the people that you are with, that you're living with, that you love, how they work. If you want to use this in business to really attract and align to your fractal, I have this bonus class called the Fractal Family Framework. I also have a condensed version that I call the Fractal Family a Framework Appetizer that you can pick up for just $11 over on humandesignastro.com. And then join us for the intensive. You can get a head start right now. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at hello@humandesignastro.com. You can also DM me over on Instagram, Journey Through HD, and I would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And just know that this information is dense. Let's go through some of my other variable classes, some of my other variable resources. There's so much information on this. There's no bottom, and there's so much nuance to this. That's one thing that I really learned running these intensives with these experiments. So you're going to get to do some really like hands-on work. My tonal resonance is touch. So I really like to get people's hands dirty, really get on the ground floor and really understand who they are. So I hope this was informative. I hope that you at least got something out of it. You at least know what your tones are now and kind of how they move through the variables. And I'll be back for some more educational classes. So give this episode a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I got way more goodies for you. And I hope that you have a wonderful, fantastic day. I'll see you over on the next one. Bye.